board meeting for the Board of Trustees for the Lincolnwood Public Library. And will the secretary please call roll?
Trustee Sloan?
Present.
Trustee Kapusta?
Present.
Trustee Doniger?
Present.
Listening.
And Michelle.
And Trustee Stefanoga.
We have a quorum, so we can meet. I would now like a motion to adjourn to closed session.
So moved.
Moved by Trustee Sloan, seconded by Trustee Kapusta. Could, all in favor?
Aye.
At this point, we are going to go into closed session, so we thank you for your patience. We will be back as soon as we possibly can.
I can do it. All right, I'm together on calling.
I would like to reconvene the open session. Our first order of business is to approve engaging Ansel Glick to provide general counsel legal services for the Lincolnwood Library. Is there a motion to approve?
I so moved.
Moved by
Trustee Sloan.
Trustee Sloan, seconded by Trustee Kapusta. Will the Secretary Pro Tem please call roll?
Okay. Trustee Stavanoga? Trustee Kapusta? Trustee Sloan?
Aye.
Trustee Talaganis, aye. Trustee Doniger?
Aye. May I
Motion
have a
carries.
motion? Motion is passed. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented? Moved by Trustee Stavanoga, seconded by Trustee Sloan. May we have a roll call vote since we're involving money?
Trustee Sloan?
Aye.
Trustee Stavanoga? Aye. Trustee Kapusta? Aye. Trustee Doniger?
Aye.
Trustee Talaganis, aye.
The consent agenda has passed. Thank you all for coming. What I am going to ask is any overflow, please wait outside. We were required by the fire department that this is the max, so if you have a seat. No, Barry, we're really asking for people to just wait outside, and then we'll call their names when they come in. That's okay. Well, excuse me. I'd like everybody to have respect and understand that we're asking for people to wait outside. When their name is called, we can have them come in. I do not have the list of speakers yet, so as far as Lincolnwood residents, not Lincolnwood residents, I don't have the list yet, so I'm getting that. Oh, I don't need an ID. But I would like to just very quickly, since there's a lot of you and you're still standing inside here, I'd appreciate if the audience would be outside waiting. Everybody deserves respect, and they deserve to be treated respectfully and peacefully. That includes no applause. I would like everybody to be respectful for the people that are speaking. If you agree with them or you don't agree with them, no applause. You must be signed in to speak. In the interest of time, again, please don't applause. When your 3 minutes are up and there will be a timer, we are going to ask you to finish your remark. Your remarks will be finished and move on to the next speaker. If all seats are taken in the council chambers, visitors can watch the meeting on a television set that's in the lobby. So again, I'm asking for the people that are standing to go into the lobby so they can watch the meeting on the monitor. If you're signed up to speak and are watching from the lobby, you can enter the room when your name is called. Thank you so much.
Can you speak a little closer into the microphone?
Sure, I can. Do I have a... Yeah. Okay, and again, I would like to remind everybody, we do have business of the board to attend this evening. There is a very large stack of people that would like to speak. So please be respectful. If you agree with something somebody had said before, you could say, I agree with this speaker previously. And again, have respect for people, have respect for people's time. Our first speaker is Ms. Lefkowitz. Is she in the room?
Historically, censorship targets marginalized communities, Black, Brown, LGBT, Jewish. How can anyone listen to the anti-LGBTQ speeches here over the last 2 months and not draw the parallels tropes launched at Jews since the dawn of time. That's not why I'm here today. Johnny the Walrus by Matt Walsh should not be easily accessible to children. I don't want my grandchildren seeing such a vile, sick, disgusting book. Instead, they should be able to view fact-based books like the Bare Naked book. In fact, when children know the correct terms for their genitals, it dramatically decreases the likelihood of their being sexually abused. Vermont has seen a 70% drop in verifiable child abuse cases since implementing a sexual education program that includes Bare Naked. If protecting children from pedophilia and other abuse is the import, then why don't our friends over there support scientific research that shows prevention comes through education? And why are the ones yelling groomer so very often the ones doing the abuse? A few examples, it's quite long, I only have 3 minutes. Anti-gay Senator Larry Craig molested young men in a public washroom. Matt Gaetz's relationship with a minor. Herschel Walker paid for abortions, yet ignored his own kids. Anti-sex education conservative Randy Kaufman caught masturbating outside a grade school. Tennessee Republicans want to ban gay marriage but codify child marriage. And religious leaders are often in the news for molesting children, priests, rabbis, imams, and ministers alike. Every attack, a confession, every accusation, a projection. They distract from their sins by yelling that words or pictures on a page will turn the children gay, that books are the problem. Books are not the problem. Fanaticism is the problem. Johnny the Walrus is the problem. When I first read it, I laughed. I thought it was a satire. However, it's not appropriate for children. I'm not against hateful people. They all have a right to exist. I just think your book should be taken out of the children's section and put in the adult section. Ironically, the ALA suggests the political satire section. But wait, actually, Johnny the Walrus should not be removed at all because books should not be censored, no matter how much we disagree with what's in them. As a true American patriot who believes in liberty and freedom, I formally rescind my challenge in favor of the First Amendment of the Constitution of the United States of America.
Thank you, Pam. Our next speaker is Carrie Gutstein. Okay, thank you, Carrie.
Kari, thank you.
Kari, I'm sorry.
That is okay. It's my whole life. My name is Kari Gutstein. I've been a resident of Lincolnwood for over 18 years. One of the very first things I did when I moved into the town was come to the library, bring my young children to story hour. Not for one moment did I ever expect that materials showing graphic nudity would be read to my children without any consent. To this day, I am a library super user. I'm in the library almost daily, and I love my library with a passion. And this, for example, this is a page from the book in question, being read to toddlers. The library should be a place we can count on to find accurate information and truth. Unfortunately, I realize this is no longer the case. Library has engaged in spreading misinformation. The focus of my public comment is to provide facts that we all deserve as taxpayers and as residents of Lincolnwood. On October 25th, the Chicago Tribune published an article about the abrupt cancellation of the library board meeting the evening before. Much of that information was gathered from the library director, and no comment was taken from the other side. Let's do some fact-checking. Misinformation. The first paragraph of the article stated, quote, "A heated group of public commenters forced an abrupt end to an October 24th meeting of the library's Board of Trustees." Fact. Videos show that the public commenters took turns respectfully providing feedback to the library board, and the audience quietly listened while each commenter spoke. The meeting did not become heated until one individual, a Wendy Captain, a non-resident agitator, disrupted the meeting, shouted down the public speakers, did not follow the rules of a meeting, and yelled at Jewish members of the community, calling them Nazis. Furthermore, Wendy herself admitted and took credit for shutting down the meeting in her tweets on October 24th and November 21st. If the meeting was ended by public commenters, as the Tribune stated, then why was this individual, who was not a listed public commentator, the only one who was banned from the library for a set amount of time due to her actions? And with that, I will leave the library.
Thank you. Sylvia Kay. Sylvia, can you please speak into the microphone? Sorry, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I was told to
My
do the
name
same
is
thing.
Sylvia. I'm a Lincolnwood resident, and to further the misinformation of that Tribune article, Josephine Tucci, the library director, claimed that some of the public commenters complained about a drag queen story time when a drag queen conducted the program. Fact check. This is a classic example of conflating the truth. No one ever claimed that the library conducted a drag queen story hour where an actual drag queen read the story. But many people did complain that the Lincolnwood Library sponsored a story hour at Drake Park over the summer when a library staff person pulled out "The Hips on the Drag Queen Go Swish, Swish, Swish" and read it out loud to families in attendance without forewarning. Most families got up and left, disappointed in the insensitivity and tone deafness of the library to read a drag queen book to a crowd of people largely made up of people from the Orthodox Jewish and Muslim communities. The library director, Josephine Tucci, knows this well. She received letters from the community about the exact incident, and she still has not yet answered. Number 3, Josephine Tucci, the library director, stated that the library did not have the book, the Bare Naked book, in its collection. Fact check. This is a combination of dishonesty and bad journalism. Good journalists are supposed to verify all information and they receive to ensure accuracy and avoid spreading misinformation. It took an email from a community member to tell Ms. Tucci that she was wrong, and that in fact this book, which is meant for early readers and depicts half-naked adults with their chests and breasts exposed, was part of its early reader collection. But all it would have taken for Ms. Tucci and the journalist was a basic digital catalog search of the library books by title. It was not until a day later that a correction came out, but the inaccurate title of the article remained the same. Thank you.
Thank you. Angela P.
Hi, my name is Angela. I am also a Lincolnwood resident. And to continue on to where Sylvia left off, misinformation number 4, Lincolnwood resident and public officer holder Matteo Farzani said that everyone at the meeting started yelling a lot of derogatory comments about gays and lesbians. We have a lot of video footage from that meeting, and if this was true, you would think that one of those video footages would have picked that up, but it's not. Mr. Farzani's statement should be supported by evidence. So try as they might, the people who believe all toddlers and young children should read about drag queens and see depictions of naked adults want you to believe that if you're against this, then you must hate gays and lesbians, but that is absurd and just not true. And finally, a big one that's circulating around is the title of the article said that the speakers urge Lincolnwood Library to ban specific books. This is really untrue, and we spoke about this many times, but in effort to have proof, we have received the police report from the night of October 24th library board meeting, and the police report explicitly states that the Lincolnwood Public Library Board, along with the library director, Josephine Tucci, informed that the crowd did not want the book ban just reshelved. So if Josephine Tucci and the board knew that the crowd did not want the book banned, then why did they allow the Tribune to publish an article to the contrary? More importantly, the title of the article, and why wasn't it corrected when she corrected the part about the bare naked book? So the bottom line is that when those in leadership spread misinformation, it puts us all in danger. Words matter. Josephine Tucci should apologize for her rampant misinformation, and the library board should hold her accountable instead of just idly standing by on the sidelines. Lincolnwood has long been known for, all over North Shore, for its beautiful diversity and deeply valued sense of belonging. So when extremists like Wendy Catton are allowed to target us and hurl insults at us, she's not even a resident here. And we are blamed for the cancellation of a meeting instead of her. It divides our once peaceful community, pits people against each other, or even worse, puts us in danger. Intimidation tactics like these are unacceptable, especially in this town. And so, make no mistake, there's a lot of invested, engaged residents who are here today who are upset, and they will absolutely make themselves heard.
Thank
at the
you.
voting
Your time
polls
is up.
April
Thank you so
4th,
much.
2023.
Thank you. Your time is up. Tabassum Kwarsi is. Let me see if that person's out in the hall. Oh, they had to leave? Oh, okay. Okay. Susan Ginsburg. Is she out in the hall? Oh, I'm sorry, Susan. I didn't see you.
My name is Susan Ginsburg. I've lived in Lincolnwood since 1985. Both of my daughters went through the Lincolnwood schools in Niles West. I taught kindergarten at Todd Hall for 20 years. I'm recovering from back surgeries. This is my first day out, and I'm excited to be here. The nonsense about book banning here is quite troubling, especially as an educator. My gut feeling is that the group of parents who've come into Lincolnwood are part of a political movement that they probably would not admit to try to cause havoc and unrest in our community, while degrading and debasing the LGBTQ community, of which one of my daughters is a member. She is a prosthetist by profession, making arms and legs for amputees, volunteering for the Challenged Athletes Foundation and adaptive sports venues. She's happily married to an art director and takes no time grooming children, as this group would have you believe. Their presence offends me and shows what little education they have about the gay community. They show their ignorance by their hate. The reality is, if parents prefer their children not read a book, that's their decision. But that does not give them the right to impose their short-sighted beliefs on anyone else's children. In my opinion, parents who are opposed to certain books sell their children short. We are trying to educate our young people to be critical thinkers, taking in information and forming their opinions by reading facts, whether it's history, nonfiction books, science books, and/or good fiction. I remember learning some of the most impactful lessons in my life by reading exceptional fiction. The library is a public building. I pay taxes to our library as all residents of Lincolnwood do. It should be an apolitical space with a wide variety of genres and book titles from which to choose. Librarians are the first to learn about new book titles and read reviews. They should not be constrained by political views of one stripe or another. We read books to gain information. As adults, we make the choice of books we wish to read. Children may be directed by their teachers or parents. If a parent is so concerned about a certain title, then that parent should accompany their child to the library to direct his or her child. Not my child, not anybody else's. We are living in a world of rampant disinformation and lies. The last thing I want from my neighborhood library is to dictate what I can and can't read. Reading a book with a gay character will not make you gay any more than reading a book about Einstein will make you a genius. If you're afraid that books might change someone's thinking, you're not afraid of books, you're afraid of thinking.
Thank you, Susan. Appreciate it. Thank you. Judy Abelson, is she in the room? Thank you, Judy.
Yes, my name's Judy Abelson, and I'm in the room.
Thank you.
First of all, I have lived in Lincolnwood since before we had a library. In the 1960s, I passed around a petition to obtain our own library. We finally got our own, and what a gem it is, and how it saddens me to see what is going on now. I'd like to read a poem that was in South Pacific, a play, and hold on. I hope you can hear me because the lyrics are very good. You've got to be taught to hate and fear. You've got to be taught from year to year. It's got to be drummed in your dear little ear. You've got to be carefully taught. You've got to be taught to be afraid of people whose eyes are oddly made and people whose skin is a different shade. You've got to be carefully taught. You've got to be taught before it's too late, before you are 6 or 7 or 8, to hate all the people your relatives hate. You've got to be carefully taught. And it's not only that you are afraid that your children will catch being gay from reading an LGBTQ book, which of course isn't true, but you find the concept disgusting. In this room tonight, I know someone with an autistic child, a grandmother with a child who has Down syndrome, and I personally have a grandchild who is gay. They cannot help how they were born. They need love and understanding. Parents, this is your chance to answer questions if your child asks them. This is not a time to teach hate or hide what is reality. In closing, when you're at Macy's and you don't like a purple shirt, you can't demand that they take it away. Just don't buy it. It is your choice. Thank you.
Thank you. Barry Bass?
Hello, trustees, board. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I'm a man of a few words, but I'm also known and have a track record for getting things done. Let me make it clear for the media here today and those who mischaracterize and grossly exaggerated facts in articles, also confirmed by our director of the library and its board members. I haven't heard a single word refuting anything lacking in those articles of truth. Okay? There is no one I am affiliated with, there's no one in this audience that I know of that wants to ban or censor any book. So where this narrative came from is beyond me. It's rumor. The fact we're here tonight even discussing this shows your disconnect with the public. Okay? People have come to you. You created a story time at a park without common courtesy to tell certain families that maybe the content could be contrary to their values, therefore they probably wouldn't have come, as in free choice. But no, that wasn't the case. 30 people were shocked, surprised, their kids confused, got up and left. Okay, it's shameful. It's shameful. What's more shameful is we have so-called open-minded individuals come up here and speak and talk about divisiveness and anti-Semitism when, at the last meeting, a person was allowed to run freely, disrupt the meeting, waste taxpayer time, and sling anti-Semitic trope just as at a selected class that just happened to be wearing kippot or head covering that they're Jewish. Okay? They were picked out, selected, which actually is a hate crime when you selectively pick a gender, race, or religion and point them out and intimidate it with hurtful or hateful speech. Okay, that goes beyond the First Amendment in some cases, by the way. Attorney, you can consult the director on that. Any event, it's wrong. It's shameful. I expect better. No one here is saying to ban or censor anything. Okay? It's using common sense. Common sense allowing parents to see what's in the children's section, what is age appropriate, what they can read, what they can access. I get more responsible people working at 7-Eleven making sure the pornographic material isn't accessible to a child. That's all I have to
Thank you,
say.
Barry.
Thank you.
Tara Donnelly, again, please, for respect for the speakers, we have no comments to any speaker after they're done speaking. Thank you. Tara Donnelly? Hi.
Hello. I'm here to speak tonight on the issue of book banning. I believe in the expertise of the Lincolnwood Library Board, the library director, and the library workers. The Lincolnwood Library is a place that contains books for the entire community, including future drag queens. I strongly urge the board to deny any requests to ban books, especially the hips on the drag queen go swish, swish, swish. I live down the road in Albany Park, so I'm not from Lincolnwood, but neither is the moral panic pressure campaign that Moms for Liberty and their fellow Christian nationalists have tried to use to bully libraries across the country. This is a nationwide AstroTurf campaign that spouts QAnon talking points and follows the orders of the extremist Christian nationalists such as Christopher Rufo and Mike Flynn that are sifted down to the local level by organizations like Awake Illinois and Moms for Liberty. The purpose of banning books with queer content is to erase queer lives. Our coalition, Library Defense, is here to stand against these homophobes and to stand up for queer lives. Putting books on a restricted shelf stigmatizes both the book and the patron, which is the goal of the extremist groups, to eliminate LGBTQIA people from the public sphere, and to terrorize them and anyone who supports diversity and inclusion, including institutions like public libraries. In addition, restricting access to library materials violates the American Library Association's Library Bill of Rights. It is clear that there is a direct correlation between conservatives waging a culture war against drag queens and the shooting that happened in Colorado Springs at Club Q. We are here to defend queer lives and the mission of public libraries to provide the mirrors, windows, and sliding glass doors of their collection that instill compassion, understanding, and community. The Lincolnwood Library is a wonderful institution with an extensive collection, fabulous programming, and an amazing and helpful staff. It is my strong hope that the board will reject any request to ban this book. Thank you.
Thank you. Cooper Wickham, are you in the room? Thank you.
I'm here today in defense of trans children to feel welcomed inside their own community. As the previous speaker said, queer lives are often stigmatized just by their erasure from children's literature. As someone who does not have a family but would like to start one here, I would like to know that if I were to have children, that they would be welcomed by everyone in this community, and that can only happen if such content is made available to them at a very young age. In a public library, it is absolutely necessary to have these materials available, because if they don't learn about themselves there, then they're going to look for alternate routes, which include some of the darkest corners of the internet that nobody should be subject to. For people wondering why these books should be in the children's section and not just restricted to adults, children need time to develop on their own without their parents supervising their every move. Children are much smarter than they are given credit for at that age. I personally would have loved to have had those materials available to me when I was before the age of 10, and these need to be available for everyone in the community. Not the previous speaker put it a little bit better than I did. Thank you.
Thank you. Brian Johnson. Is Brian Johnson in the room?
Hey, good evening. My name is Brian Johnson. I am a 6-year resident. I'm father of 3 in Lincolnwood here. I'm not here on behalf of any third-party organizations, just on behalf of my own accord, okay? For all the fact checkers here, ABC News, Tribune, etc., if you would please FOIA the request for police report from October 24th, library board meeting. The police report expressly states that the Lincolnwood Public Library Board, along with the library director, Josephine Tucci, informed the crowd do not want the book banned. Thank you. What is the appropriate age for a child to learn about a topic? When should a child learn about the sensitive concepts of sex, war, terrorism, consent, conception, masturbation, gender, identity, or death? The reality is that there is no specific age that any of these topics should be introduced to a child. There are many factors that will introduce when a child is taught about these or other topics. These factors may include the child's age, ability to understand, and personal proximity to a specific topic. When a child learns about these topics, there will need to be discussion, appropriate vocabulary, context, and perspective. The child will need to ask questions and think about what they have just seen or heard. The responsibility and timing of this entire process lands squarely on the shoulders of one type of person. The most meaningful and influential person in a child's life, the parent. What is the library doing when they are introducing controversial, sensitive topics via low book height book placement or unannounced book content for very young children at story time? The library has decided that they, not you, the parent, knows what is best for your child. They know what is the right time and place for your child to be exposed to sensitive content, and not you. Residents of Lincolnwood, loving, caring, thoughtful, involved residents, you do not have to stand by idle as library staff dissolve the historically non-controversial stance of our library and village as a whole. Library administration. Is it your role to provide resources for sensitive topics? Certainly. Should these sensitive resources be read unannounced at toddler story hour for every child who walks into the library? Certainly not. Library staff, these sensitive topics are not within the scope of your sole discretion. Instead of providing resources, you have decided your role is to directly alter the course of a child's development without parental involvement or knowledge. Library attendance is at an all-time low, yet the library staff, at the direction of the board, continue to push this content onto toddlers. Every parent will approach teaching and the upbringing of their own children in a different way. If a parent agrees with you on a controversial issue, the actual timing of the introduction to sensitive topics for their own child will be different than yours. Library board and staff, thank you for providing resources for our village and respecting your clear roles and their limitations while respecting the roles of the parents in each child's unique development. Lincolnwood residents, election day is April 4th, 2023, including the library board.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Mr. Scott Weil.
Thank you. I've listened to the comments today, and it seems to me that people on both sides are very, very vociferous and strongly feel that no books should be banned by the library. And so then I have to say I do not understand why we continue to have hearings. If everybody agrees that no books should be banned by the library, if the board follows the guidelines of the American Library Association, I do not understand why we're having this hearing, especially why we're having 3 hearings to do nothing more, I believe, than agree that we should not ban books. My other feeling, and I thank the previous speaker for pointing this out, is that if you are a resident of Lincolnwood, you have the obligation, if you want things changed, to, in this case, run for the library board yourself in the elections in early April. That's how you communicate your desire for change. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Well. I'm going to pronounce this name incorrectly, so I'm going to spell it T-Z-I-P-P-Y. Are they in the room? Are they outside? Thank you. Jen Miserish. I'm sorry, I probably didn't say your name right.
Mirish.
Mirish, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
That's okay.
Hi, Jen.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Jen. I live in Lincolnwood. When I heard that there was a drag queen book, a picture book, I had not read it. I heard it caused such a stink. My kids are too old for picture books, so I said, well, I've got to see what all the fuss is about. So I went and found a copy of it and read it.
And it was not easy to get a copy, by the way. It's a very popular book. Lincolnwood Library, checked out. Skokie Library, checked out. Lots of libraries, checked out. I read the whole thing. It's a garden variety picture book. If you looked in this book and searched it cover to cover for anything that was obscene, sexual, raunchy, you would come up with a big fat 0. There is nothing inappropriate in here. It's literally just a cute little rhyme about drag queens dancing with their big hair. I've been to drag shows. These characters are doing what drag queens do, dress up in sparkly things and entertain. That's what's in the book. Yes, some drag shows at nightclubs might be risque, but this book is rated G, 100%. So the book's content is not the issue, then what is the issue? I, throughout my life, have had many friends, family members, neighbors, and coworkers who were gay. If hanging around with gay people made you gay, I would be gay. Spoiler, I'm not gay. If reading this book made you gay, I would now be gay. I'm not. That's not how it works. No book can make me gay. No book can make my kids gay. Even if it could, gay people and drag queens have a right to exist and be themselves and have books written about them. America, land of the free. We can all choose what book we want to read or not read. But I believe that hiding this book in another section or a different shelf or whatever would restrict other people's choice and opportunity. And I think that would be wrong. The American Library Association stated that it, quote, opposes any effort to limit access to information, ideas, and programs that patrons wish to explore. I agree. I think this book in this library is exactly where it belongs. I love our library. As a mom, I am glad that this book is in the library because it provided a jumping off point for me to educate myself about what drag queens are and are not. I only knew what I'd seen at drag shows, which was just fun. But now I'm more informed, and now I can have an informed conversation with my kids if they were to ask about it. That's all. If anyone would like to borrow this and read it for themselves, please let me know. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. Burl Herman?
Thank you. My name is Burl Herman. I have been a resident of Lincolnwood since 1968, and I am probably one of the few people in this room that remembers World War II. I was a small child. I remember my mother taking me to the movies, and in those days they had what they called newsreels, things that were going on in the world. And before the Holocaust became known to us, they were burning books. We're not burning books. We're asking parents to decide at what age children should see books. Those decisions should be made by librarians and teachers. Those decisions are not made by parents, although parents have the last word to say, no, you may not read that book. I also work with the Multicultural Task Force of Lincolnwood. Our mission is to have people know who their neighbors are, who lives next door. When we started with our religious leaders, I said jokingly, I want them to know that their neighbors' religions do not tell them to eat small children. So we have brought in all of these speakers. We're hoping people will understand who lives next door or who lives down the hall, what they believe, but not to tell the library what books to take off the shelves. Thank you.
Thank you. Reuben George? I think he said he was in the hallway.
Good evening. My name is Reuben George, and I live in Lincolnwood. I have two kids. They have been to the library. I was a board member previously. I'm here to state that I oppose the ban on books. I will also add that this issue has never been an issue before in this community that prides in diversity. I feel that the issue is being made into a veg issue because of political reasons. Again, I don't believe in banning books, and the library should maintain its current policy. Thank you.
Thank you. R-A-H-I-L-A, Rahila? Are they in the hallway? Hello.
Hello. Good evening. My name is Rahila Siddiqui, and I'm a Lincolnwood resident and a book-loving parent of 3 kiddos who love to visit the library to read books and to play. I welcome my fellow Lincolnwood residents and taxpayers, and also the neighborhood communities who are here to exercise their right to represent and uphold their cause. At the outset, like it's been said by so many people before, let me make it clear that I'm not here to ask for a ban on any books. As a regular visitor to the Lincolnwood Library, I'm here to fight for my right to choose when my elementary school children should be exposed to complicated topics like drag queens and get introduced to naked pictures of human bodies, whether it is for education or for entertainment purposes. The library cannot choose that for me by placing age-inappropriate books in the early literacy area, where my 6-year-old, who has a reading fluency score of a 3rd grader, can merely glance at the book and get introduced to content that is completely unnecessary for him to know at his age. I know those of you who are here to rally against the book banners are in for a disappointment when you hear that we are not asking for the books to be banned, only that they be placed in a different section at the parents' eye level. I respect the rights of the parents who choose to show these books to their children, and who choose to show pictures of drag queens and naked human bodies to their early readers to prepare them for the world and teach them tolerance, and they can very well find these books for their children in the library. At the same time, I insist that it is my prerogative to choose an appropriate time for my children to be introduced to complicated topics about the choices people make, and it is definitely not when they are 4 and 6 years old. I choose to teach them tolerance and respect and inclusivity by reading to them age-appropriate books like Some Bodies, for example, which is also available at Lincolnwood Library, and there's no dearth of such enlightening books in our lovely library. To add, I would say that a parent would feel the absolute need for their early readers to know about drag queens. The only time is when they're inviting a performer like that for their kid's 5th birthday party. And how many of us are going to do that? Once again, I'm here to ask that we place sexually explicit content away from the early readers section and in their appropriate places to protect our children's and preserve their innocence. Thank you.
Thank you. Mark Lasky? Is Mark in the room or out in the hall? Batter up.
I was going to say, who's on deck, right? So we can be prepared. Hi, good evening. My name is Mark Lasky. As you can tell, I'm a teacher at Lincolnwood District 74. I have been a teacher for 25 years, but I'm also a National Board Certified Librarian for the past 15 years, and I find that to be the honor of my life. As my shirt will show you, I'm the coach of the Lincoln Hall cross-country, track, basketball, also Lincoln Hall volleyball over the past 7 years. I take great honor as being a staff member. I'm the new teacher mentor coach in our district for 24 new teachers, which I may have said that at another meeting. And I wanted to come tonight to say how strongly I feel that the Lincolnwood Library and the Lincolnwood librarians understand the needs of their community. They definitely understand the needs of their school system. They work diligently to create a collection that reflects the interest of children, teens, and adults here in Lincolnwood. As you know, they host after-school programs every day for your children to come and to learn arithmetic, and to fall in love with books. They put all of their hours into being that mentor and that role model for your children every day. And I don't think it's ever come into question how they care for your children, just as the teachers at Lincolnwood School District 74 care very much for all of the children in their schools. As an educator and a gay man, I know the value of seeing books that affirm identities. Children should be able to go into the library and find books about animals, current events, fairy tales, or just about anything that they want. This includes people with different identities. Books are for everyone. Books can save lives, and I wholeheartedly support the Lincolnwood Library collection, building that collection to represent all the people that are here in Lincolnwood, not a select few. On a personal note, I'd like to say that in 4th grade, my teacher, Mr. Linton, read How to Eat Fried Worms. I bought it from the Scholastic Book Fair because it was so interesting to me, and I read that book from front to back, the first book I ever read, but I didn't run out and start eating fried worms. I was so proud of myself. In college, I went on to fall in love with children's picture books, and that's why I became a children's teacher. And I'm so proud to say that I'm their teacher, and they're doing great in school.
Thank you,
so
Mr. Ladd.
let's keep it going.
Thank you. Ann Santoya.
Hi, my name is Anna Santoya, and I'm happy to be here today to stand up with all those that see these right-wing attacks against libraries and library workers as what they are: bigotry, outright homophobia, and transphobia. I'm a mother and a library worker, a library page in the Chicago Public Libraries, and I'm running for alderperson in the 45th Ward, but that's not why I'm here. I'm here because this is an issue not just for Lincolnwood. This is not just an issue for the state of Illinois. This is an issue for the entire country. When it comes to these right-wing conservative talking points about banning books, it's never just about the books. It's about attacking our LGBTQ siblings and trying to push them into the shadows, and we're not going to let that happen. On the eve of Trans Day of Remembrance this year, a mass shooting took place at an LGBTQ club in Colorado Springs, and 5 people tragically lost their lives. Attacks like this are inexplicably linked to the exact type of effort to ban books. The rise in the attacks on the LGBTQ community must be met with resistance and struggle. Stonewall was a fight against state violence, and banning books is just another form of state violence. By being out here tonight, we are sending a clear message that banning books is wrong, that we will stand up to those right-wing bigots and not go back. Libraries are one of the last, if not the last, public space that's free for our communities. They provide services, access, and a space for all. Libraries are essential services that should be expanding their reach to all. Our materials reflect who we are, and all should have access to them. We are here to say no to book banning and no to the far-right bigotry. Thank you.
Thank you. Pam Wolf. Pam?
Yes. Hi. Murder, rape, beatings, bullying, harassment, firing, eviction, denial of basic services and human rights, bigotry and rejection and isolation and persecution, depression and suicide. The massacre in Club Q in Colorado Springs last week was not an anomaly. It was an escalation of hatred that the LGBTQIA plus community faces every single day. That's right here in the United States. These are the things that we face in the land of the free. And don't think it can't happen here. Much of it is happening or already has right now. My name is Pam Wolf, and my pronouns are she, they. I am speaking here tonight as an organizer in the Niles Coalition and as a member of the LGBTQIA community. What you do here tonight matters. What you do here tonight can make the difference between life and death, literally. When you ban or hide or move a book or an activity for LGBTQIA content, you are sending a message to our community that LGBTQIA people don't matter, aren't wanted, don't belong. When you call us controversial, you send a message that we are lesser, not valued, inhuman. You contribute to misinformation, fear, and hatred. You contribute to the growing violence against our community. You take away the wonderful, welcoming, safe haven that a good library can be. Many horrible things are said about what LGBTQIA plus people are. And I won't respond or repeat the bigotry. These are vicious lies. We are just people who want to live fulfilling, authentic lives. We are your neighbors and your coworkers and your family and your friends. And yes, some of our hips do go swish, swish. We are your children and your grandchildren. If you really want to protect children, help to provide a safe community for LGBTQIA plus youth for whom libraries and similar spaces are the only place where they can be themselves and feel welcome and wanted and protected. Niles Coalition stands against hatred and bigotry. Niles Coalition stands against censorship. Niles Coalition stands in support of the LGBTQIA plus community.
Thank you, Pam. We appreciate it. Thank you.
And you.
Elizabeth Lynch. Hi, Elizabeth.
Hello. Hi. I'm a parent of 2 children, 8 and 4, and I'm a library patron. I strongly support books for youth that include LGBTQ plus characters. I also support books that have accurate depictions of the human body so that we can educate our children about their own bodies and the bodies of others. I believe that the books in our library and the books that library staff recommend must reflect the diversity of the world our children live in. It is essential that all families see themselves in the library's collection and have the opportunity to see the humanity in families that are different. To exclude, hide, ban, move, or require special parental permission for LGBTQ plus books is to say that some people and some families are not as good as others. It would say that LGBTQ plus existence is so dangerous or wrong, the library staff have to intervene to protect youth from reading about it. It would say specifically to my children that there is something shameful about their family. This is clearly wrong and counter to the most fundamental principles of the public library. I understand that parents are struggling with many difficult conversations right now. It has been hard for all of us to explain the pandemic, protest, and war in a way our children can understand. Maybe the most difficult thing to explain to my children is that there are people who hate us just because of who we are. But it has never been hard to explain to my children that love and identity come in many forms. I wish everything I had to explain was that easy and positive. Library staff use their extensive knowledge of books and childhood development to help each child and their family find just the right book for them. They help parents find age-appropriate books that address tough topics. They create lists and displays that show the variety of options available in the library, books that speak to different people with different needs at different times in their lives. They are experts in both books and childhood development. The small group of people that have made objections are neither. I have no doubt that they not only are unfamiliar with the last several decades of research on youth and literacy, but didn't even read the reviews of the titles they are objecting to. But your library staff have. That is why navigating the complexities of youth interest, literacy, emotional maturity, and literary values should be left to the experts, your incredible library staff. Thank you.
Thank you. Patrick McWilliams. Is Patrick McWilliams in the room? Thank you.
Thank you. Just have a few things to say. I'm hearing from many of the people who've spoken today a lot of, fact-checking and attempting to explain certain details, say, well, we don't exactly want the book banned, we just want it moved here or there or hidden behind this or that barrier. But I want to step back a little bit and put all of this in context. We're seeing right now a right-wing assault on so many of the basic democratic rights of the people. Recently, the right to abortion was eviscerated in this country by a tiny minority on the Supreme Court. We're seeing a wave of right-wing legislation trying to roll back so many of the gains that have been won by the movement of the people, by the women's movement, by the LGBTQ movement, by the Black liberation movement for voting rights. And so I think when we are sitting here and talking about this issue, it's very important that we place it within that context. I think, as some have said, that this is really not about books, really not about libraries. It's really that this is the wedge issue that this right-wing campaign has decided it is going to use to attempt to implement its reactionary agenda, to attempt to roll this country back to an imagined past that it never really had. So we must name this right-wing project for what it is and recognize that all these attacks on LGBTQ books, on LGBTQ people, as a result of that, directly flow from this very same idea. And, of course, this came off the massacre targeting the LGBTQ community in Colorado Springs, as others have mentioned. It's the same sentiments of hate and division that lead to somebody picking up a gun and committing an unspeakable crime like this. This is part of an overall project of hate that we must repudiate, because so many rights for the queer community in particular have advanced so much over the past decades due to the struggle of the people, due to the realization that we cannot go back. We will fight back against all of these attempts to roll back the rights. And I think from what we're seeing here tonight, from those who have spoken, it's clear where the majority of the people are. It's clear where this community is coming down. And I myself, first I would also want to say the library, as was said before, is a public resource, right? One that is for everyone, including queer kids, including trans kids, and it's absolutely essential that it maintains that status. I myself am the father of a young child, and I hope she will be able to find those kinds of books. Thank you.
Caroline Bilecki. Is Caroline Bilecki here? Thank you.
Hi. My name is Caroline Bilecki, and I live adjacent to Niles West, where many Lincolnwood children will attend when they reach high school. The arbitrary boundary that separates Lincolnwood and Skokie, Niles, or Morton Grove is irrelevant, as the hateful rhetoric displayed here and in groups like Niles Township Accountability Council and Awake Illinois is irrelevant. The hateful rhetoric displayed here can be identified easily in the halls of Niles West. I've heard it. I'm here today to express my support for the librarians, staff, and trustees of the Lincolnwood Library District in relation to attempts to challenge or censor books or learning materials that are available to its patrons. And for the record, when we're talking about moving books or restricting access to books, we're talking about book censorship or book banning. We're not talking about anything else. Let's make no mistake here. We must learn from history to avoid repeating past actions and policies that were racist, classist, ableist, misogynist, homophobic, transphobic, anti-Semitic, and anti-immigrant. In short, harmful to the people who live, work, or shop in and around Lincolnwood and Niles. The role of publicly funded and public libraries is to help individuals access a wide variety of materials. All children and all people deserve to see themselves reflected in the books, TV, media, and other content available and read in our public institutions. I trust you not to censor these materials, and thank you for your service.
Thank you. And the last speaker is Matteo Farzani.
Thank you, Board. I appreciate what you're doing. I fully support your stance against banning any books. One criticism I have, though, of the library and the library board is that last month when we showed up to the board meeting, I was not clear as to what exactly had happened and why we were there. I was there to do some fact-checking. I understand that the community has been divided on several issues, one of which was the book that was read during the summer. I was not here, so I was not aware of it. And the second was how the book was displayed in the library. And the third thing that I heard a lot about is that there's a group of people in Lincolnwood and people coming from outside the village trying to say that they want to ban books. So I think it's imperative that we, the residents, especially in Lincolnwood, are told and kept abreast of everything that's happening. I think that was the shortcoming from the library. Also, I do believe, as someone who's been taking his child to the library since age of 2, still when we go to the library, I follow my kid everywhere she goes when she wants to pick books. If she picks books that I don't think it's necessary for her to take a look at right now, I will explain it to her. And let me tell to the parents, you might probably know this, kids come home and my daughter comes home and talks about the things that we never talk about, and actually sex or LGBTQ rights or human body and anatomy is not one of them. She talks about things that people talk about in recess time, such as guns and drugs. Aren't they more important? Shouldn't parents pay more attention to those things rather than things that are natural? Regardless of what we tell our children, people are born with certain needs and certain characteristics, and their nature is different. I respect that, my family respects that, and I want my 9-year-old to respect that. And what better way to teach our children from home with the understanding that, yes, there is always a challenge in teaching new things. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And that is the end of public comments. I appreciate everybody's time for being here, and we are going to continue on with the rest of our meeting. At this point, I'm going to switch with you. I'm going to use we have to get to the back. Sure.
I'm Sarah.
No. You're not. Thank you. Gives me something to do.
Oh, right.
It's a good cause.
Oh, really? Yeah. They've seen it from the side of the other.
Yes.
some discussions. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Gentlemen, thank you. We're trying to finish the meeting. Is this yours? Thank you. I'm sorry, I didn't touch it. Okay, ready? I guess so. Her light is not on.
Almost.
Thank you. Remember that. Ready. So I'm gonna. Excuse me. Her mic isn't working. I'm sorry. The light isn't going on. Are you okay?
I don't know if it's
Better. It's a hot mic, so you just talk.
Okay. So since a lot of what was in my report was on the consent agenda that we'd already gone over at
Can you all
previous
hear?
meetings.
Okay.
I think you're gonna.
Oh, okay.
I think you're gonna have to ask people to.
Okay, we're going to take about a 2-minute break until we can get her mic fixed because the board can't even hear because of the noise. Where is... That's brutal. John. Thank you, John. I totally forgot.
They gave me a portable one. That's okay. He said it's working. We're just waiting for it. I did. It doesn't. Yep. Well, we really. Yeah, and I didn't keep up with everybody. But yeah, it was surprised. But I also think that I was expecting like, speaking and
Do you have a microphone? We are going to reconvene the meeting, so thank you so much. Well, 1 second. We have one person on a bio break. I guess we're not. I'll eat some cookie. Anybody want some cookie? Who is this girl? In the black.
I think she's with the press.
Oh, okay.
I'm here for it.
Who are you with?
CBS.
Okay, I think we have mics that are working so people can actually hear us. Take it away, Joe, and then I'll talk.
So a lot of what was in on the consent agenda is in my director's report, based on discussions we've had in the past. So I'm only going to go through things that. Is it on? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you.
I'm only going to go through things in the report that were not already voted on or whatever. So. One is our upcoming December hours. Just want to remind everyone that when we are going to be open and closed in December. On the 9th, we have a staff development day. We will be closed from 10 to 2 on the 9th, and then reopen to the public at 2 o'clock, and then we'll be open until 6 as normal. Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, December 24th through the 26th, we are closed for the Christmas holidays. And then Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, December 31st through January 2nd, closed for New Year's holiday. And that's all, we've discussed this before. It was approved by the board before, but I just wanted to remind you. The December meeting is, the practice in the past has been kind of back and forth between canceling the December meeting or holding the December meeting. So that's really up to the board on whether or not they want to continue to meet on December, 19th, or if you want to cancel the meeting. And you can discuss that now, or if you want to do it at the end.
I think historically we have canceled the meeting. Is there a consensus for the board? I know that a lot of people go on vacation, and is there a consensus to cancel the December meeting? There's very little on the agenda that I can see. No objection. Any objections on this side of the room? Okay, we are going to cancel the December meeting.
Okay. The biggest thing I want to make sure we go over in my report is the strategic planning process. Given everything that's been going on for the library in the last couple of months, I felt that it was worthwhile to talk to some companies, firms that do strategic planning and work primarily or specifically with libraries. So I got two, included in your packet were some proposals from two different firms. One is down in Champaign-Urbana, so they're not technically local. And the other one, though, is in the Chicago area. Their prices were higher than I know we were hoping. And the one that's further south, I believe part of that reason is for travel expense, of coming up to the Chicago area. But I highly recommend that we employ a consulting firm to help with our strategic plan. For part of the reason it will help us navigate these difficult discussions
that we have moving forward with community surveys and just talking about all of the different issues that have come up in the last 6 months. And I think that a firm like one of these would be kind of act as a mediator or someone who is a third party, completely impartial, and that could help us navigate, all of those different conversations. So that's why I think we were planning on doing this completely internally, but I think in light of everything that's happened in the last couple of months, it would be in our best interest to have an outside firm help us in the process. So I personally think that the proposal from Keister, or whatever, I'm sorry, I forget what the name of her company is. That's the one I would go with because, for one thing, it's less. It's considerably less, and they are local and they work exclusively with, I believe, with libraries. And I know that she's worked with other libraries in the area and has been very highly recommended. You can do it. I know the both proposals break down different components of their services, so you can kind of do it a la carte. So that's something worth considering. But I'm trying to figure out the page.
Yeah, I can't find it either.
I'm sorry.
Do you have a?
Yeah, I think it's the second one. The first one had a lot of samples of different things that they've done with other libraries. So I wanted you to be able to see that. Okay, so it's SKA, Sarah Keister, Armstrong and Associates, starting on page 149. Even though she does not include the extensive information, I believe that we would be getting a similar product from her firm. And going to page, I'm sorry, where is it? Where she breaks down the cost. Thank you, Jordan, on page 163. So she breaks it down. I think it doesn't go into as much detail in terms of what's involved in these different phases, but I would think that those first two phases would be key, for hiring somebody from the outside. For another $2,500, they can help with the implementation and evaluation, but certainly I think those first two areas, which are detailed more extensively in the body of the proposal.
Can we do the first two and then add on the second, the rest of it, as we see how the project is going, or do we have to buy the whole package together?
I would have to verify that.
Okay. Trustees,
and as on page 164, I'm sorry. Yeah, that was.
They're scattered. Yeah.
Well, I thought there was a whole. It's such a long proposal.
They should have had a fee schedule.
Give me a second.
A fee schedule for us.
On. Where is
On
that?
page 23 is the first
Yeah,
one.
it's all over the place.
There you go. So on pages 22 and 23, it breaks down their different phases with a little more detail, and then the cost for each section. And they, also can do a la carte, but keep in mind that we would be paying travel expenses for this firm as well, which I think their travel expenses are included in these costs because they are billing us as outside of Chicago area. Yeah.
There's been a wide span in the amount that they asked for.
I'm sorry?
Just to note that the costs go from
It does include supplies and travel. It says on the
right
page 23, inclusive of supplies
And 25
and
too.
travel for phases 1, 2, Just 1 and 2. 3, I guess they don't have.
Well, 3 is the grand total.
Yeah.
3 would have the grand total.
I thought it was a phase 3.
No. Well, it is phase 3, but then there's a grand total of everything was $25,000 for phase 3.
Okay.
And then the other
So,
one.
so these costs do include travel.
So basically, they are the same. Okay. Trustee Talaganis, did you have any questions for this?
Well, I would like to see what we can accomplish on our own at the library and then use them as supplementary assistance. Because in the past, we've done a lot of this on our own from the library, and I do think that this is helpful and we should employ some of the services that are mentioned here. Are we deciding tonight as to contract them?
Well,
we'd have to. Because we
couldn't wait till January.
Yeah, we couldn't wait till January.
I have a question. If the library staff would use
exactly.
every day, so we would be taking away their ability to do their jobs well. Their daily responsibility. Have them doing.
We have a committee already appointed of staff to be part of this process, but, most of the members have never done a strategic plan before, so it'll be a learning process for everybody. I'm just more concerned about,
The quality of the work product.
I'm confident the staff is capable of doing this. My biggest concern is that in this climate, that we're well guided and that we have someone with professional resources and knowledge to kind of guide us through this process and help facilitate it, so that when we have public discussions or focus groups, et cetera, I don't want the library, right, I don't want the library to be perceived as being partial in any way. Does that
No,
make sense?
I think that makes a lot of sense. I think that, I think this, for either of the two fees, which are not extreme, I think it takes, it takes away a lot of the, the feelings, it's more objective. I think that's a better way to describe how it would be. It would be just more objective.
Mhm.
Now, I do not know, I was not here for the last strategic plan, so I do not know how that was conducted. George and I have been around for strategic plans before, but, not to this level. I mean, there were strategic plans, but we were not part of any of the planning. Pam might be better aware of how the last one was rolled out. But I think that, I just think this separates us. And also, as you were saying, it gives the library team their job to do, and they don't have to worry about, oh my God, I've got this other project, but I've got to set up 3 programs or whatever else is going on, and there's a big snowstorm and I can't get in. Yes, Trustee Sloan.
Oh, I was just going to say that I think the advantage of having one of these companies do help us with this, that it allows the staff at all levels, contributors, in terms of having their ideas canvas taken into account as opposed to.
Well, we would build that in no matter what. Yeah.
No, I know. I think what he's saying is that they would have an independent voice, and it wouldn't be like somebody's asking them questions and they expect to be answered a certain way.
Right. And that would also be good.
Right.
Trustee Talaganis, did you have any other questions besides doing stuff in-house?
No, I like the proposal from Sarah Keister Armstrong, the SKA consulting firm.
Okay. Trustee Stavanoga, do you have any comments or any feelings one way or the other?
No, I don't, but with regards to strategic planning, one of the main features that was presented was a timeline of the different aspects of that, and where we could see how each one was progressing as time went on. And it was showcased in graphics, timeline.
I'm sure we can ask that of either.
You're
firm
saying
that
once that, we used to have those at the
Right.
board. Yeah, once the plan is finished, then we are tracking it throughout the 3-year period.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I'm saying that there's a graphics that was presented to the board each month showing how far certain projects had come along compared to things that should be taken care of right away. It was like a timeline that we each got to view.
We will get that as soon as it's completed.
Right, well,
Yeah.
I'm just adding, you said, did
Yeah.
I have anything to add?
Yeah.
That's what I'm adding.
No, but I was wondering, I thought you were talking about this is how you guys did it in the last strategic plan. 'Cause
Yes, that's
you
what
were the
I'm
historian.
saying.
Yeah.
Yes.
But not in the development of the plan, but when we were in the
When we
process
present it, yes.
right.
Okay. All right.
On page 164 is a list of all the libraries that Sarah Keister Armstrong's worked with.
1 second. Trustee Kapusta, do you have any comments either way or the other? Okay. Okay, so we see who Sarah Keister SKA has worked with, and there's plenty, including Deerfield. We are going to have to vote on one of these. I guess the other part of the question was, are we able, and I don't know, is Georgia, are you still for us doing like picking and choosing, or are you now saying just have them do the whole project? Because I know you were saying have the library staff do some, have the team do some of it. Are you okay with SKA doing the whole project?
I'm okay with them because they will be working directly with the staff.
Okay.
So it's a combination of both.
Okay.
We're not just handing everything over to
No,
them.
they work
It's a
in
collaborative
tandem.
process, but they would navigate everything and
Right.
Okay.
guide us.
We are going to have a motion. I'm sorry?
We don't have this on the agenda. Is this within?
This is within her director's report. Do we have to make a motion to do this?
No, since it's within her authority, I think the best way is just come to a consensus.
Okay.
And the board's going to vote on it when you have bills come before the board.
Okay, then we are going to come to a consensus. We don't really have to vote, but we are going to, is everybody in agreement? Yes, Trustee Sloan?
Just a point of order, there is
There is, but this is something that was in the director's report, and we're going to be, our legal counsel just said when we see the bills as they come in, we'll be paying them.
So
so we're not appropriating money.
you're agreeing to
We're agreeing to the expenses, but the expenses will be, it's just like a Amazon bill.
It'll be officially approved.
It'll be
within the
officially approved.
director's-
It's within the director's purview.
Within her spending authority, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we are going to go with Keister.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. And, also, I know that it was in the consent agenda, and we've already talked about the audit, but you do have the final copy. Each of you should have this at your seat, and that is the final copy for the audit. Paul said he would be willing to come back to answer any questions or do a formal presentation, but it's not required. So if you want him to come and speak to the board, he will. Excuse me. Lots of, let's see.
In a closed meeting.
We will do that.
Some updates or some highlights in our departments. The Deputy Director Chris Frankosiak has said we're continuing to work through our capital improvement plant list as approved. Our next project will include repairing the floor in the staff area where the emergency plumbing work was conducted, and they had to rip up a majority of that hallway. But we haven't had any plumbing issues since then, so, it seems to have worked this time around. But we have Chris has been just really working super hard on getting a bunch of projects completed in a really timely fashion. So thank you so much to Chris and to Damien. In adult services, election day, as you know, we were a polling place, and we had there was a really good turnout of voters at that election. And it was a big boon for our outreach program, which delivers library items to residents at Lincolnwood Place in the Carrington. And we had a lot of new faces in the library, and adult services took advantage of that and put some special displays out. We registered 12 new library card holders, and we saw some materials circulate based on these special. Yes, Colleen.
Those 12 new library card holders were specifically to residents who live at the Lincolnwood Place in Carrington who will be receiving delivery. Stephanie's Department of Patron Services actually registered a little bit closer to, I want to say, 30 or 40 new library cards in one day.
Excellent. That's significant. Thanks, Colleen. And in business services, Wandana, we had our open enrollment for our staff insurance, so Wandana is making sure that everyone was on top of that if they needed to make any changes. Our premium rates went up about $25 a person, which is a $375 increase a month, but that was the only change. In marketing, with Kelly, this is already old news, because we were accepting applications for our new visual communications coordinator, and since this report was written, they have hired a new person whose name is Tyler, and Tyler will be joining us towards the end of December. And in operations, after a couple of chilly days in parts of the library, we discovered we have to replace a motor in one of our HVAC motors. This was due, Chris, because we were having so much trouble with the climate control with the temperature. Is that when we discovered it?
Yes. So
okay.
We were having weird temperatures throughout the library.
On a particularly cold day throughout, we had to go around to each individual thermostat, which would tell us which individual motor was the problem, and lo and behold, we found a motor.
Yeah. So that was a good catch. What else? And as a reminder, preventative maintenance, we had 2 fans replaced last year, and then we are having 2 more replaced this year. But we're doing it during the staff development day, so we don't have to close the building in addition to, when we close it for staff development. So it's nice that we piggyback onto that. So it has less of an impact on the community. In patron services, we were really sad to see Kunal leave, but now that he's finished his degree, he has got a job in his field, and he's really excited about it. I forget who he's working for. Do you remember anybody? No, but I think he can work from home, and we wish him all the best to Kunal. But his last day was a couple of weeks ago, I think. And in youth and teen services, we had a juggling and comedy show, so we had a really nice turnout for that, and we had families just had a ball. We had over 50 people that came to the library on a very rainy day, and they got to learn some juggling tricks and some magic. We have 2 new hires, Jessica Tarnowski and Jose Cruz in the YTS department. There are 2 new full-time librarians. They're great, and next time you're in the library, stop by and say hi. And we also, this isn't in the report because, again, this happened recently, but we have a new administrative coordinator that's going to be starting December 5th. And Justin? I forget his name all of a sudden. Was it Justin? Anyway, he's a young man who comes from another library. He's fabulous. You'll love him.
December what?
I'm sorry, I can't remember. Oh, it was Luke. Why did I think it was Justin? Anyway, it's Luke. And I forget what library he's with right now, but he is going to be joining us on the 5th after he's given his notice. He's full-time. He's basically replacing Gabby. But we've made some tweaks to the operations department in general, and that position is going to report directly to me. And we've moved things around with some of the positions in operations between that and the coordinator. So we spread it out a little bit. And based on that, we don't think that we need to have an operations manager. Chris will continue to oversee operations, but Damien now full-time and will make a big impact, and taking some of the responsibilities that were in operations and moving them to the coordinator or to other divisions of the library will also is another reason why we won't have a need for an operations manager. Sorry that our stats are not as beautiful as what Gabby used to do. That will change once Luke is on board and has some time to train. But this basically is just an overview of all of our attendance, all of the collection growth, et cetera. It's just the basics of our stats. As you know, the historical display is completed, and the maintenance on the paper lot is completed, which means that everything on the board action chart is complete, which I think is the first time in 3 years where there's nothing on there right now. I'm sure you will come up with something, but as of right now, it's finished. So I think that's it. That's all I have.
Well, I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. We are not going to have a meeting on December 19th, which our next official meeting is going to be January 23rd, hopefully back at the library. And other than that, I just want to wish everybody a really happy holiday season and thank everybody for their support of the library and everything we do here. And, I truly believe that libraries are cornerstones of democracy, literacy, and productivity, and I believe that we are doing the right thing. So if there is no further discussion, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion by Trustee, what a surprise, Trustee Sloan, seconded by Trustee Stefanoga. All in favor? Aye. Oh, and any opposed, any abstention? No. And again, I'd like to welcome